Thank you all. Thank you for yoga before my speech. It's really nice. Okay, I'm sure we all here already imagined and experienced entering into a different kind of environment, and especially an international one. And today I want to talk about exactly about that, about entering into international environment and its influence. In every system, there are rules we should follow. Living in another country seems like a lot of fun. However, there should be a respect to the culture we are brought to, and there should be rules and civil laws that we have to follow. I don't know if you know about this or not, but in Armenia, outside Yerevan, social attitudes can be very conservative, including with what is appropriate dress for women. Or another example is that in international, especially boarding schools, we have evening curfews for students, which we are experiencing here. And it's all about, as well as it's again about the rules of the community, which has to be followed. Integration can be separated into two parts. It can be a positive and a negative experience. A positive experience of integration can mean having healthier lifestyle, having a higher motivation to study, forming good friendships, or even finding a good, comfortable place to live in, and even achieving a productive teamwork, which is one of the core components of multicultural communities. When we first enter to a new community, the first thing we find ourselves doing is group activities, where we have these ice-breaking activities, and usually it happens in the orientation week at schools. And thanks to this, we are very easily adjusting ourselves and being integrated in the group and the community. On the other hand, a negative experience of integration can come from being uncomfortable with the group or with the environment, with the people even, having hard time with communication, which can be language barriers, which can be social attitudes, different social attitudes, and cultural differences. And these can lead to the being unable to or not having so much excitement to be part of a group or any activity. Integration, on the other hand, can be separated into two parts. It can be with the smaller group, which can be with friends and families, and in a bigger group, community, city, and culture. I want to talk about a positive integration in a small community, which can be led by the environment and the surroundings. Imagine a visual arts student having a lot of media to work with and having a comfortable classroom to create beautiful artworks in. And thanks to this, they mostly have a positive outcome in the end. And all of these effective tools are really helpful for students to increase their interest in studies and bring some positive motivation. And as well as it's all about finding freedom in studies, the freedom that can give us to easily adjust and express ourselves in a comfortable and in a bigger environment very freely, and as well as discuss them without any issues. Friendships. Every community consists of groups. While being a student in an international community, in an international environment, we all tend to be very easy to interact with people, to get along with different people who speak the same language as us, or we have these interests as they have, so it's very interesting, very easy to adjust with them. But the point here is that sometimes it can be hard. And when I was studying abroad, I remember myself trying to get along with different types of people to see in which group I would fit in. And sometimes it was hard because of my language barrier, because of English. I was not really good at English, and it was quite hard for me to get along with them and to see if I can actually become part of a community. And usually, in this case, we can be really happy about the fact that international communities are quite supportive. They help us to easily adjust thanks to the activities, CAS program, thanks to the evening events that we are having, so we can change our environment, our friends group, and we can meet new people and make more friendships. The most valuable friendship I made in 2 years of studies was with my peers from Frisbee Club. We started Frisbee Cast in the first half of the first semester, and we already were part of different groups. And the most beautiful part of this is that with this Frisbee Club group, we went through so many challenges. into competitions. We won, we lost, and then in the end we had this COVID outbreak where we were only the Frisbee Club kids sitting in the same building 24 hours, 7 days, and trying to just integrate and be part of a group and just, I don't know. Even if there was someone not being with us in the end, that person just joined us. So we became a small family within a smaller community, which I'm very proud of. And I realized that good friendships, the foundation of a good friendship is actually teamwork. The teamwork where each member brings their skills, knowledge, and experiences into the same idea, so we create an interesting and interacting community together. After experiencing this, we more or less get ourselves ready for bigger challenges when integrating into other places. After graduating, many of you will go to universities and already have this experience beforehand, or some of you will even have the experience and will find yourself in the place I am in right now. I studied in Israel for 2 years, and after that I came back to my country, to Dilijan, where I had to live in my city and readapt to the life of my small town. And at the same time, later I had a transition to another international community, which is UWCDilijan. I want to emphasize the difficulties we are facing while integrating into any international community, so we can see what are the ways to overcome them. It's interesting to notice that talking about negative experience of integration is not about failing it. It's not about that there was no integration, even though we're talking about negative cause, but it's about trying to see if you can actually get integrated. And even having a bad experience, it doesn't mean that there was no good, nothing is good. People can be themselves and not be called outsiders. It's a good point to know. So negative experience of integration can be seen in friendship groupings. It can come from different views or habits of an individual. I want to bring up a story from my life. It's about a person who was from my generation. She was a brilliant student and had all the potential to become the best of herself. But because of a habit she had, which was not really common in my friends group, and it was even some sort of taboo, she felt a bit distant and out of our friendship group. And in the end, she ended up being in the group of people and developed bad habits, which led her to, she got a diploma in the end, but which led her to become the way everybody else is, to just easier adjust and to be integrated in the group, because she couldn't do that elsewhere. And there are two directions I want to take you with the story. I want to bring your attention to the fact that any bad habit can be fought and broken. And working on ourselves and pushing us to our personal development is the best thing one can do while living independently, which can give us the freedom to change. It's important to notice that we are not changing for others, but we are changing for ourselves, for our personal development. There is an insistence on the idea that people should accept me the way I am, despite the fact the way I behave. So people should accept me, that this is who I am, please accept me like this. But the insistence on this idea finishes when someone else's personal boundaries start. It's not about self-affirmation or confidence in a community, but it's about the change we are ready to take to be part of that community that we are living in. When we enter a new environment, especially international students going to study in international schools abroad, we tend to notice and even take the habits or things that are new to us, which is sometimes can be a negative experience, and without a second thought, if it's a good thing or not, we are adjusting ourselves to it. When we only notice these changes, it's the time when we come back home to our community, to our country, to our house, where a community that is familiar to us, and at the same time, we see if our new behavior is acceptable or not. And through living in an international community, we gain confidence, independence in decision-making, we widen our perspectives and views of life, and sometimes we change and we grow. After 2 years of studying abroad, I came with many difficulties in my own culture. There were many things I was not accepting. There were many things I was just thinking that they were so stupid. And here, the real fight started with my own self. I started to fight with myself and to see, and the fight started actually, it went to my family, And it was really terrible because every single day, me and my dad were having difficult discussions and even fights over this topic. And I fought with these changes that I had when I came back to my country, already living here. And I could see that I'm not really accepted in this place when I'm behaving that way. It can be different kinds of things, like traditions I was not agree with, different views of life, or even dress code. So the way I used to live before was not okay and became foreign to me. And I began to question many things, like why it wouldn't be okay to wear shorts outside, or why couples couldn't hold hands outside when everybody's seeing them, or why it was not okay to come home late. And some of you may think it's quite okay, and everything is obvious, and it's very easy to adjust to this because we already have this experience from international communities. But actually, it's a bit wrong. It depends on the environment you are in. But in my case, it was terrible. I explain you why. At this point, I want to tell you the fact that when I came back home, it was hard for me because I was going to be with people who raised me. I was going to be in the family that gave me specific values, and in the family that is Armenian, conservative family. Just imagine it. Imagine the principles of the family, and imagine that I need to carry that values as a child of that family. And here, at this point, what comes first is respect, meaning that I should have lived the way my culture requires me to, and at the same time not change the person I have become and the perspectives I have built while I was living abroad. And many people have this problem of adopting, and they would even change themselves to again reintegrate them into a particular environment, especially when it's their familiar one. And in such a case, the best thing to do is to show others the experiences and the opinions that you have, and as well as to show and open a different way of thinking for them, open a wide window and find a common view with them. By returning to the point, I want to say that we must stay true to ourselves and not change what person we became, and at the same time remember about the identity we have, because in international communities, in independence and freedom, the first thing is actually that comes to mind is to perceive everything that we can, but at the same time remember our culture and the values. And in international communities, we better understand our national and cultural origin, our ethnic values, and especially we should never forget where we are coming from, and therefore we will give more importance in preserving all of this together. And moreover, it's all about respect that should be two-sided. We shall respect the community we're living in, keep the rules of it, and at the same time, the community should be ready to accept us the way we are. Thank you for being here and taking your time to thinking about all these opinions with me. Sorry if it was short, sorry if it was like this, mess up. It was my first public speaking experience. Thank you so much for being here. And I want to say that only after a good thought, we can actually find many obvious solutions to many obvious problems. Thank you so much.